Let us review forceful practice instructions and then meditate like a Jedi. Archaeology and anthropology show us that our Paleolithic ancestors were profoundly flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Sadly, since the advent of proto-capitalism and the Neolithic Revolution, the rule of the day has been being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. This is done by relying primarily upon our dopamine-oriented system, which, although it can give us short-term pleasure, is unable to give us anything remotely related to fulfillment. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. This is the suckiness he was referring to. When we receive meditation instructions from those who are defined by these attributes, and we are told to actively focus and actively analyze, we wind up exhausting our dorsolateral and medial prefrontal cortex to the point that we begin presenting with symptoms of depression, no less triggering our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. However, when we vulnerably and passively cooperate with both facets of our autonomic nervous system, this amygdala is calmed, and our anterior cingulate gyrus, and instead we gently the anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, is gently stimulated, and we have our fulfilling life rooted in cooperation. The path to the mastery of our cooperation with both facets of our autonomic nervous system is eightfold. Simply by playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, we can help but notice change, the first fold of the path. Simply playing with mindfulness and meditation triggers our anterior cingulate gyrus to compel us to practice kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. Simply playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so causes our choices and utterances and deeds to flow not from calculated contrivance nor from wild scatterness, but instead from love's centered spontaneity. This is the effortless effort of expedient means, or Wu Wei, the sixth fold of the path. So how do we practice this mindfulness thing? Mindfulness is the first enlightenment factor. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord. This portion of our autonomic nervous system is known as the sympathetic nervous system, and it has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. It has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginations, from the inducing us to explore all manner of phenomena, or to experience all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. I should elaborate here. The second enlightenment factor is investigation, which is a gentle way of saying not being a defensive asshole. And instead of being defensive, being vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting to whatever we encounter. Once again, whether it's external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. What do we do with what we noticed? We meditate, the eightfold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to automatically access the very basement, as well as the tippy top of that same spinal cord, known this time as our parasympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us to relax, which is the fifth enlightenment factor. Helps us to relax to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation, of course, inhalation is the coalescence of breath within our lungs, the sixth enlightenment factor. That I lost my train of thought. Let's try this again. This relaxation causes that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. And so we see both emptiness and no self are just metaphors for the profound experience available latent within each exhalation. What is the key to passively cooperating with the wonders of our autonomic nervous system? Every time we inhale, the sixth enlightenment factor, we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Every time we feel our chest swell with breath, every time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb rest. The seventh enlightenment factor is equanimity. Equanimity does not mean we no longer perceive dread and desire. It means we are no longer controlled by dread and desire. How do we do that? Through the universal application of this technique. You see something dreadful? Notice and relax. Perceive something desirous? Notice and relax. See something neither? Notice and relax. And so this can be described as remedial equanimity, the same response to all that we encounter. This process is profound. In the second to the final passage of the Buddha's discourse on the four bases of mindfulness, he explained that one could master his path in as suddenly as 7 days. That can only be done through an easy path. That is what the Buddha offers us. That is what I offer you. Having completed our opening explanation, let us shift gears. It is Yoda Monday mid-morning, at least it is here in Southern California. Oh well. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible through the generosity of viewers just like you. Together, let us sit and breathe and notice and relax. The free fall of meditation can feel uncomfortable after a lifetime of indulging our controlling tendencies. A useful end run around this is to practice a variation of Bengali crease counting, wherein we'll play with our knuckles and the creases and tips of both our left hand and our right hand. We begin by touching the tip of our left thumb to the lower set of creases of our left little finger. This is how we'll keep track, or at least remember that we are working on our first set of 16 inhalations. Let's rest this left hand palms up in our lap. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we can advance our right thumb across the creases and tips of its four fingers. Let us begin with its little finger. Having run out of places to rest our right thumb, we know now it's time to advance our left thumb. And this is how we will keep track of 16 sets of 16 inhalations. 16 inhalations takes a little more than a minute. 16 sets of 16 inhalations takes a little more than 20 minutes. Most of us wish to either immediately or gradually train ourselves to meditate for more than 20 minutes. And so it behooves us to gather collections of 16 sets of 16 inhalations each. To do this, to keep track of our first collection, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. After about 20 minutes or so, when it's time to begin keeping track of our second collection of 16 sets of 16 inhalations, we could advance our right middle finger to such a degree that its middle knuckle comes to rest upon our left middle finger. And after an additional 20 minutes or so, we could advance our right middle finger until its third knuckle comes to rest upon our left middle finger. All this with our hands palms up in our lap. Don't worry. There is an antidote to overwhelm, and its name is repetition. Meditate with me once or twice a day, and within a week or two, this system you can master. What follows is a hack for joy, the fourth enlightenment factor. As we silently and mentally keep track of our first inhalation, as we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, we can notice the corners of our mouth. During our second inhalation, we could keep track or just notice the apples of our cheeks. During the third inhalation, we could notice the crow's feet of our eyes. And thus, a sip of the joy, taste of the joy of meditation. For the remaining 12 inhalations, we can simply invite our spine to lengthen, knowing full well that during each exhalation it will relax. The stretching of our spine during our inhalations is the hack that helps us to practice the energy, which is the third enlightenment factor. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let us revisit the seventh enlightenment factor of balance. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever interest or boredom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of simply mental activity. Melting into the simplicity of mental energy. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pleasure or pain we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel if it was melting into the simplicity of sensual energy. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 3 1/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's third session of Meditating Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.